Hello friends, our today's topic of discussion is non-ideal behavior and errors in ADC. The objectives of today's lecture are to understand non-ideal behavior and errors in ADC and to explain intermodulation products. Non-ideal behavior in ADC and errors. Here, if you find out the components that transform signals between the analog and digital domains are necessary to computer control. Certifying the fidelity of conversion is critical to achieving the specified performance. Unfortunately, no single test can completely characterize an ADC or a DAC. Tests are peculiar to the applications. For instance, radar and video require good transient responses. Digital audio requires linearity and data acquisition requires high resolution. A good complete reference for standard definitions and testing is IEEE standard, that is standard for digitizing waveform recorder. Now, you will have to verify the performance and accuracy of a converter at the desired conversion speed and not really on the specific sheets over here. So, if you find out the types of errors in ADC, the first that is quantization error, that we already know, that is quantization error. It is present everywhere over here. Then second one what we are having, that is DNL, that is differential non-linearity. Then the third one, that is integral non-linearity over here. Then what we are having, that is missing codes are there. Missing code means ADC. In ADC you can easily find out what are the missing codes basically. Then the next one which we are having is aperture jitter over here. Then we are having input noise also. And the last, that is nothing but settling errors. So the first one, if you find out the quantization error, that is, it is a range of analog values around the code center point. So already we have all the basic knowledge of quantization error, so we are not going to discuss over here. Now for differential nonlinearity, that is DNL, differences in the quantization band between each digital code, it can vary between -1 LSB and greater than +1 LSB. So in figure also we can see these things. And you should strive for differential nonlinearity of less than ±0.5 LSB in your design over here. So here we can find out the ideal transfer function, which is in blue color, and the actual transfer function, the difference we are getting over here, that is the actual transfer function which is in red color, orange color over here. So what we are having here, that is 1.5 LSB, that is the analog input level over here. This for this much range, so we can find out here that the differential nonlinearity here, it is 0.5 LSB plus 0.5 LSB, because normally it should be 1 LSB only here, this range input output. Then in this case, if you find out it is very less than 1 LSB, so it is -0.3 LSB. That is the differential nonlinearity here. Then we can find out the integral nonlinearity also, that is basically the deviation from the linear transfer function. For AC signals, it causes harmonic distortions. So in red line we can find out the ideal one, but practically or actually you are getting this as a INL, that is integral nonlinearity, that is the deviation of this from the ideal transfer function. So here we can find out at this point, that is at n, we can find out the points over here, and at n+1 we can find out this is the INL, that is integral nonlinearity. Now for this what we can say, that is DNL, it measures how far a converter's quantization bands are from the ideal one basically. Next, INL, it measures the curvature in the converter's overall transfer function. it becomes problematic, and when digitizing a full-scale input, since a lower amplitude signal could fall into a part of transfer function that is relatively linear over here. Now, if you see for the next one, that is dynamic testing of INL and DNL to assess an ADC's dynamic nonlinearity, you can apply a full-scale sinusoidal input and measure the converter's signal-to-noise ratio over its entire full power input bandwidth. The theoretical SNR for an ideal n-bit converter is SNR in decibels is equal to n into 6.02 plus 1.76. Embedded in this figure of merit are the effects of glitches, integral nonlinearity and sampling time uncertainty. You can obtain additional linearity information by performing the SNR measurement at a constant frequency and as a function of time, function of the signal amplitude. Sweeping the entire amplitude range, for example, from a 0 to full scale and vice versa, produces a large deviation from the source signal as the source amplitude approaches the converter's full-scale limit. Now, if you find out, as we have seen for the DNL, the width of the quantization band can deviate greatly from the ideal and create non-ideal bands called as a differential nonlinearity over here. And for INL, we have seen that is testing INL versus the frequency. It is another way of characterizing dynamic errors in the INL. Now we can find out missing codes over here. That is basically what is happening over here. This is ideal ADC transfer function. Now, and this is the practical one. But at this stage, if you find out, for each and every input range, we are having output codes over here 000, 001 like this up to 111. But now we can find out, even though it is completing full input scale range, then also output codes which we are getting that are not 8 outputs or 8 codes over here. That is what we can find out. We are getting here that is 100, that is this code is never appear on the output because this is actually a missing code. What is happening? Ideally, it should give all the codes as the output according to the input range. But practically, what is happening over here at this stage? That is directly, it is not constant over here, and that it is directly going to the next code, that is 101. And then again here, what we are having, that is it is constant for 2 LSBs over here. Okay, so 2 LSBs, we can find out DNL, that is differential nonlinearity over here, it is 1 LSB plus 1 LSB actually. And this is again, this is why it is happening again here. You can see that initially only we are getting DNL, that is of 0.25 LSB over here. Okay. So this is the missing code, that is 100 in this case, you can say. And here also we are getting the code, but again it is for very small input range. For now, the general test configuration for evaluating ADC over here. Here we can see to evaluate the ADC, what we require, that is sinusoidal wave source is required over here, which is giving input to the ADC, and ADC DUT, that is device under test, and then the output of that, it is connected again to digital input output card. The power supply, obviously it is required, and the sine wave source, for that the clock signal is given over here. Now it is connected to the PC. On that you can find out a frequency response of the same. So this is a basic dynamic test setup for the ADCs. Now testing INL versus frequency. Here you can find out, that is we can use a window function on the incoming data samples to reduce the leakage significantly. A window function weights the data in the middle of the record more heavily and smoothly suppresses the point towards both ends of the sample interval. In the figure also we can see this. Unfortunately, what is happening? The data samples with finite length cause problems for the FFT analysis because the partial cycles of the sine wave signal at the beginning and at the end of the interval causes discontinuation in the data record. So here you can find out the discontinuity in the data record, and you are getting that is harmonic side lobes over here. The FFT, it assumes that the data repetitious and continuous for all the time. Any recording discontinuities appear to be part of the real signal. The errors that result from discontinuity in the data record are called as side lobes or leakage. Here we can see this. And for the third one, we have seen that is what is the effect of this window, that is Blackman window over here. Now coming towards the next one, that is for the input noise. It is basically the equivalent noise contributed by the internal circuitry. Often comparators are the source of input noise. If the noise exceeds 1 lsb, then the testing can be as simple as shorting the inputs and measuring the distribution of the output codes. If the noise is less than 1 lsb in this case, then a more sophisticated test may be needed over here. So you can sweep the input signal through the desired point with a ramp generator and record the output codes also, and then calculate the probability density function of the codes around the desired point. Less noise will narrow the distribution. More noise will widen the distribution. So this is about the input noise. Now coming to the next one, that is aperture uncertainty or jitter affects the performance of ADC at high frequency. So this is actually more important. In this we can find out that is the parameters such as test setups, timing jitter, noise on the input signal, and the ADC's noise are not distinguishable from the aperture uncertainty. But you can get an estimate of uncertainty by assuming that the noise is constant over frequency. The noise resulting from the aperture uncertainty is proportional to the slew rate. An indirect method for measuring the noise due to the aperture uncertainty drives the output from sample and hold block into a spectrum analyzer to eventually derive the noise voltage over here. So here we can find out the aperture error over here. This much is the aperture error. Then the aperture uncertainty is the ratio of the noise voltage to the slew rate over here. We can consider. So this is the example which gives you the aperture uncertainty or jitter increases the noise over frequency in an ADC. Now intermodulation products. A nonlinear device such as ADC produces intermodulation products when it processes multiple tones for or frequencies. The energy within the intermodulation product sets the system's dynamic range. Testing for intermodulation products is similar to testing for INL. The only difference is that you generate and combine pure dual frequency sine waves as an input and then calculate the dynamic range. Now we can see the test configuration for measuring the dynamic range with intermodulation products over here. So to measure this, what we are using here we can see that is testing for intermodulation product is very similar to testing for INL that we have seen, and the setup is shown over here, which shows that how to modify general test configurations to measure intermodulation products. The clock jitter must be low, otherwise it will look like a aperture jitter in the sample and hold block and adds intermodulation product. Sampling ADCs are most more susceptible to random noise in the clock and than the delta sigma converters that use the oversampling, noise shaping and digital filtering to generate their digital codes over here. So the signals of this are given to the low pass filter and then added, then it is given to the ADC, and as well as these are given to the spectrum analyzer and computer. Now here we can find out the test configuration for measuring the transient response. Transient response of an ADC is particularly important for high-speed applications, and the response of flash converter to a transient input such as a square wave is often critical in radar application. The input must be a good, clean, fast pulse to test the transient response of an ADC. Now, in this figure, it is shown that a test configuration that tests a delay for a 0 to 100% rise time over here. It produces a pulse by using an analog multiplexer to switch between the two levels, voltage levels, and then measures a transient response over here. You begin by dialing a programmable delay into the clock circuit to start a conversion over here. So we can see a timing diagram for the same. If the delay is less than transient response time of the ADC, it will generate intermediate values between the reference values. You can increase the delay until the converter's output produces only the reference value. Then you calculate the transient response time by summing the delay time and ADC's conversion time over here. You can use this setup for transient response to measure the ADC's recovery time to over voltage at just one of the reference voltages, this plus 1 or plus V reference or minus V reference, to its maximum over range value, and set the other references to a value near to full scale in the opposite polarity or direction. Adjust the conversion delay until the output gives the valued value, and the delay equals the over voltage recovery time over here. Now over voltage recovery that we have seen. Then bit frequency test. The bit frequency test, it gives a quick qualitative look at DNL and INL. The test uses a full scale sine wave whose input frequency is slightly greater than the sampling frequency. Delta F we are having, that is equal to Fs divided by 2 raised to n pi, whereas Fs is the sampling frequency, n is the resolution of ADC in bits. The output code should change by only 1 LSB. It jumps in the output sine wave indicates a missing code over here. It is called as a sparkle codes in TV industry, while what we can see, this flat spots and variations from the sine wave indicate INL. Here we can see this again flat spot at this also. This is basically an example of the all non-linearities. A bit frequency test can give a quick indication of non-linearities. Gaps represent the missing code, and the flat spots and dips indicate the INL over here. Now coming to the servo loop, it locates code transition and gives the average value at a point, used in low speed application that requires high precision and resolution over here. So the servo loop test for the code transition around a set point specified by the reference code word over here with the help of integrator, ADC, digital comparator basically, and DVM. Now the last one thing which we are having, that is cross plot. It also gives a qualitative measure of errors including DNL and INL, hysteresis and comparator oscillation. Cross plot determines the actual transfer function of the ADC at a specific point by setting DC voltage input, superimposing a deterred analog signal across a range of several LSBs and displaying the ADC codes versus the third analog input over here. Calibrate the oscilloscope display to 1 division per LSB for the display that gives a staircase output over here. So we have seen that is all the non-linearities, all the errors in the ADC which are present over here, and the bit frequency test for ADC we have seen the cross plot which gives a qualitative measure of errors including all the DNL, INL, hysteresis and comparator oscillations over here. Thank you.